I guess one of the things I wanted to flesh out, that there's almost an ironic twist to addiction in terms of how we experience it in society. You know, when people think of the addict as someone who is weak or can't hold their liquor, or who passes out at the end of the night, it's ironic because it's usually the guy who could outdrink everyone that ends up becoming the addict. It's the person that has the easiest times with the drugs and alcohol that is most subject to their most dire and devastating effects. So the thing that I guess I think about, and I guess it's more humorous than it is thoughtful, but I think of Hank the Tank in Old School, the movie. You know, Hank the Tank, when he was a young man, he was that guy. He was the guy who could outdrink everyone and outparty everyone. But as time goes by, he just becomes the guy who can't stop drinking, the guy who doesn't really have a good grasp of reality to understand how his behaviors even make sense in this world. And his drinking is not as exciting, not as fun, and a lot sadder. At least, you know, if that was a real person in your life. You know, watching him on the screen is just super fun and funny. But I always thought that that's like a great example of the irony of addiction, that it's the person that is always really good with drugs that's at the highest risk. And why is that? Well, that's because one of the big factors that determines whether you get addicted or not is how much drug you actually use over time. So one factor is certainly your genetic loading. Another factor is how much exposure to the drug you actually have. So someone could have really powerful, resilient genetics for substance use, but if they use enough drug, they're still going to get addicted over time. There's obviously other factors. There's the ability to be resilient, as I said, to even traumatic experiences, to support systems, whether it's family and friends, to how good your life is. You know, did you have traumatic experiences that, you know, are still terrifying and torturing, you know? And I think the numbers are staggering when it comes to the statistics in pediatrics, that if a child is abused, like everything medical about their life gets fucked. We're talking like 8 times more likely to have diabetes, like 20 times more likely to commit suicide, like every medical parameter. It's not even about mental health only or addiction only. It's like everything gets jacked when a child grows up in an abusive household or is in foster care and kind of abusive environments. So obviously that factor about whether or not someone goes down the road of addiction is huge, because, you know, ultimately you have to make sense out of life, and if your life doesn't make sense, you know, it makes more sense why you want to escape it. And I think that's what a lot of people find themselves in with addiction.